Hello and welcome. My name is Zinzer, and today I'm going to be talking about who I think is going to be on the July 31st Legendary Heroes banner for Fire Emblem Heroes. Before we get started, I'd like to appraise my not fantastic performance. Last time we only got 7 out of 12, which is definitely not the number we're aiming for, but given the way Intelligent Systems likes to do things and the guesswork involved, that may be the number we're getting more times than not. So just take everything with a grain of salt and feel free to let me know what your predictions are and how they differ and why. I would love to hear that. So before we really get started, I'm going to go over the rules. I figure it's complicated enough at this point that we might as well write them down, or at least write some of them down. So the only hard and fast rules that seem to apply every time, there are 12 heroes, 3 of each color with 1 legendary hero in each color, and all the heroes that appear are 5-star exclusive. Then breaking the other patterns down into who they apply to, and we'll do this with our predictions as well. We'll do our predictions in this order. Legendary hero patterns appear to be 2 female, 2 male, 2 female, 2 male, and so on. So with that pattern, this legendary hero should be female. No 2 units with the same blessing have the same movement type or weapon so far, and no 2 units with the same color have the same movement type so far. Those 2 I think are a little bit more flexible, and we might see that happen because that would require there to be an even distribution of all the movement types across the legendary pool, which could happen, but given that the regular pool does not have an even distribution, I think it's moderately unlikely, and we currently have a lot of infantry units and more cavalry units than anything else. We just got our first armor unit and we're halfway through. So we'll see how that holds up, but for predictions and the guesswork that goes with getting the legendary hero, it might have some value. For the seasonal heroes, clearly the seasonal heroes make reruns on the legendary banners. It's a lot of fun. The number of seasonal heroes corresponds to the relevant banner, and this came into contention last month when we only had 3 seasonal heroes, and it was a surprise to almost everybody. Some of us thought it was going to happen, but we weren't sure because it was going to be a change in the pattern. But now I think we can officially add it to the pattern. So last month was the 8th legendary banner, and it was also corresponded to the 8th seasonal banner, which was the New Year's banner, which only had 3 seasonal units on it, which meant that the legendary banner also only had 3 seasonal units on it. So this month will be corresponding to the Love Abounds banner, so I think we'll be going back to 4 units there. We'll just have to keep this in mind for when we are on the end of September banner, and it corresponds to the Bridal Bloom, which also only had 3 units. So it's just something to keep in mind. Also, when I say corresponds to, I don't mean draws units from, because clearly, if last month corresponded to the New Year's banner, there were no New Year's units on the legendary banner. So just because it corresponds to that banner doesn't mean it has to draw units from it. Also, the seasonal color distribution has been 2-1-1-0 or 1-1-1-0, depending on the number of units, and that means that there will always be 1 color that gets shorted and doesn't have any seasonal units, so gets 2 non-seasonal units. Then the seasonal heroes are drawn from a max of n-1 banners, where n is the number of heroes. So to put that in non-mathy terms, if you have 4 seasonal heroes, they'll be drawn from a max of 3 banners. You will not have 4 banners providing 4 different seasonal heroes. You'll also not have 3 banners providing 3 heroes if there are only 3 heroes on there. And they did that last month with 1 from Christmas and 2 from Love Abounds. And then, of course, the 2 seasonal heroes that share a color, if you have enough to share a color, will not be from the same banner. They never have been. So those are the seasonal patterns. The other patterns come from the general pool. Units typically, they wait 2 months. They have waited less in the past, but 2 months is typically the point between the release of the unit and it appearing on a legendary banner. The last unit to break this pattern was Siegbert back on Ike's banner, and it has been kept since then, and he was honestly pretty close to 2 months. Then preference is usually given to units released after the October genealogy banner, which means that if they have units that were released more recently than last October that haven't appeared yet, they typically put those units on first. Clearly, they don't always do that. Young Tiki and Sigurd appearing before Night Exalt Crom very clearly broke that pattern, but it is typical that that happens. Also, units usually do not appear within 2 months of their most recent banner. So if they were released and then didn't appear and got another banner, they typically wait 2 months after that. The exceptions that have occurred most recently were Zelgius and Female Morgan, so I'm going to make an addendum to that and say that they will rerun units if they feel like they are strong enough units that people will want to pull for. Female Morgan being the only, at the time, really being the only flying mage in the general summon pool, and Zelgius, of course, is just extremely good. Then units from the same banner, units that were released on the same banner, will not appear on the same legendary banner together. They did this back at the start, but they haven't really done it since the start, and I think they won't do it again because it gives you a wider variety of units, which means more people will pull, because like if you got all the units on one banner, then maybe you don't want to pull if all those units appear again on the same banner, the same legendary banner. They also try to tend to clump them together in sequence, like Fallen Harden appeared 1 month after Fallen Celica. We're still waiting on Grima, but green units are kind of their own thing because they have so many green seasonal units to get through. So that should be a thing, that's units come close together but not on the same banner. Then obviously units can be repeated. We have Sigurd, we also have the colorless pool. And then the colorless pool, once the pool is exhausted, they apparently go back and repeat it in the same order. Mist does not count. She is, as far as we can tell, not appearing on any legendary banner. So when they finished the colorless pool, they went back and they reran Jenny, who was first, then they reran Innis, who was second, then they reran Elise, who was third. So they'll probably continue to do that with reruns. So those are the basic rules. We'll also mention the Brave Heroes. The Brave Heroes have been rerun. All of them except for Roy have been rerun. I don't know what to say about that. I definitely thought Roy would have been rerun before now, but he hasn't yet. So it's possible he'll show up again soon. Maybe. Not sure again. And they'll probably have the new Choose Your Legends heroes appear once they come out and have had a minute or two to sit around. Alright, so on to the predictions. Legendary heroes first. These should come as no surprise, really. We have our red legendary. Ryoma is back on his Kinshi Knight with his sword, using a weapon that did not go with the class in the game. I'm really excited about this because I managed to miss him last time and get a couple young Tikis instead. And young Tiki is a little bit underwhelming compared to the Flying Lobster Lords, so I'm hoping to get him this time. We also have Legendary Lyn coming back. If you didn't complete your Lyn Emblem team last time, or with the other 4 Lyns available, she will be back for you to try again. And colorless legendary is, of course, going to be female Grima yet again. I am very hopeful that they will give us a new colorless legendary next month because I am very tired of seeing this evil dragon. So then, of course, that leaves blue, which is the new legendary hero. The patterns and analysis suggests that is going to be a wind type hero and probably not a lance. So this basically amounts to probably a flying blue mage, as though we don't already have 3 of those and not enough of the other ones. A female flying blue mage, or possibly a female flying dragon. I am voting for Camp Female Flying Dragon if they don't have a preference, because I think that would round out the flying dragon pool. And also would just be really nice, because I don't know who they're going to put for this unit. The suggestions I've heard so far have been Celica, Corrin, and Micaiah, and I don't really think any of those fit. I don't think anyone who's made those suggestions really think those fit. So we will see. I will say that this banner is being released at the same time as the Distant Defense banner, so technically we don't know who's on that banner, but there are only 3 units with Distant Defense that aren't seasonal, and it's Micaiah, Celica, and Rajat. So I think it would be a little odd for them to put up a banner with Celica and Micaiah and then put one of them as the new legendary hero. Corrin, I think everybody has said this to death. I really feel like Corrin fits better with a water motive. You can see Corrin and water a lot in Fates. It doesn't really fit with wind. So who does fit with wind? I don't know. That's the short answer. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Eliwood on a horse with a lance and they will break every pattern we expected. I do think Eliwood deserves a legendary hero now that Lyn and Hector both have them, considering Eliwood is theoretically the main character from Blazing Blade, but I don't think it's going to be him with a lance on a horse. At least I sincerely hope not. So our new legendary hero, I think whoever it is, will be a surprise, and I'm excited to see what they come up with. So now we're going to move on to the seasonal heroes. First up, I have one I don't think anyone will argue with. I have Winter Lissa. She is it is time for Winter Lissa to appear. The rest of her banner has already gone. There are no other armor units I have predicted for this banner. You might have predicted some, but she's the only armor unit I have on here, so she's not competing with anyone as far as bold fighter goes for having like fantastic armor skills. And I think she'll make people want to pull green, especially because Lynn is a little bit underwhelming. So I think Lissa will be on here, and with Lissa, I think that there will also be Camilla. They need to finish off the New Year's banner, and I think this is the time to do it. Also, with the patterns, they won't have Camilla unless they also have Lissa, because they won't finish off a newer banner while an older banner still has units to be run. As far as seasonal banners go, with the general banners, anything is fair game. But for the seasonal banners, I don't think they'll have Camilla before they run Lissa. And I think Lissa is definitely going to be on here. So Camilla is more of a question mark as to whether or not she will be put on here, but I really think she will be because they need to get her out of the way. And she complements the red pool pretty well, I think, at the moment. The other options are literally all Red Sword Cavaliers, and while I don't think they'd have a problem with running 2 Red Sword Cavaliers, I think it would be more interesting for them to run Camilla at the moment. It also works out better with the color distribution in the future because they have a lot of problems coming up with green. They also have a lot of problems coming up because they picked the 2 non-green units from Love Abounds for last time. So I think Camilla will help mitigate those problems, or at least not make them worse the way it would if they don't include Camilla. So after her, I have Spring Catria. I think that they're gonna have to pull from the Spring banner because the only 2 units left on Love Abounds are both green. Clearly, they do not have enough room in green to put both of them in. Also, that breaks the pattern of 2 units from the same seasonal banner in the same color. So I have Spring Catria. I have her over Spring Kagero because I think the blue pool needs more help than the colorless pool at the moment. So I think that they will put Catria in to supplement their blue lack of their blue problem. The blue problem being that they only have 1 unit released since October that hasn't been run yet. So I don't know who they put as the second one. I had this problem last month too. And I don't know what they're going to do about it next month. But I do think that they'll start by putting Catria in over Hero. So after Catria, I think that they're going to include Spring Sharina. It's kind of a toss-up between her and Alphonse. I do think it'll be a Spring Green unit, so that they're not... I don't think it will be a Love Abounds unit. I will say that I do not think it will be Love Abounds because I don't think they'll draw from 4 different seasonal banners, and I included that in my patterns. And so that's why I'm picking Sharina and or Alphonse, really, over Lilina and Hector, and or Hector. So I do think it'll be Sharina over Alphonse, just because Alphonse has the Wodao Egg Axe, I guess. And they just released Libra, who has the Wodao Axe. So I think that they won't run both of them at the same time, or they're less likely to. I also feel like the Green Axe Cavalier isn't as likely to be run right now as Sharina. So I think that Sharina is more likely. But honestly, if Alphonse appears, don't be surprised. I would be very surprised if it were Lina or Hector, just because of the way the banners have worked in the past. But either Sharina or Alphonse, and we'll get an idea of what's coming next. So one of them. So those are my predictions for the seasonals. So the non-seasonals, first up, I have Knight Exalt Krom. I put him on here 2 months ago, saying that he was the the oldest red unit that hadn't been on a banner since October, released since October, and that is still true now. So I think it's about time they put him on one. Also, his competition for this spot, the 3 units I think could be here, are Knight Exalt Krom, Sword Reinhardt, and Brave Roy. Brave Roy, they might run Brave Roy just because they're going to release the new Choose Your Legend soon, and he's the only Brave hero who hasn't been on there twice. I think that is a very real possibility, because they like to put something on here that nobody is going to predict, and I think Brave Roy would very much fit that spot. But I'm really hoping it's not him. I'm hoping it's Knight Exalt Krom, largely because he's coming after Female Morgan. Female Morgan has already opened up that banner to be started, and having Knight Exalt Krom closes the banner, so that seems really neat and tidy having him on there. That also is part of why I pick him over Sword Reinhardt. Sword Reinhardt has also been on a banner since he was released, and Knight Exalt Krom hasn't. I really feel like it's time for Knight Exalt Krom to come back and be on a legendary banner. I felt like it was 2 months ago, and now it is 2 months later, and I still feel that way. If he isn't on there, I would expect him to be replaced by Brave Roy first and Sword Reinhardt second. Those would be the units I would expect to come in place of him. And I know that does give us 3 swords in the red pool. They have done that before. They've done that pretty recently, even though they like to have a mix of magical and physical damage, and those are all very clearly physical units. I think it'll still be those 3 units though, and I don't think that's terribly out there prediction. For blue, also clearly I just said I don't think they'll have 3 of the same type, or it's not common for them to have 3 of the same type, and here I am saying it's probably going to be a blue flying mage, and then putting 2 other blue mages on there, but I do think it's time for Ishtar. Ishtar is the only unit who hasn't been on a legendary banner in blue, who was released after the October genealogy banner. They might go back and put a Lance unit from the start of the game, like Ephraim would be a decent choice, or if they want to downplay the blue pool, think their new unit's going to be really good and get pulled for, they might put like Azura or someone on there. I really feel like it's time for Ishtar. She was released well over 2 months ago, and she could start off her banner. And then we could get Sword Reinhardt and Linnea next time in red, and that would be very nice. But I do think it'll be Ishtar and Spring Catria in blue. So then we've already got our green, and for colorless, first up I have Faye, because Faye is next in the rotation. She and Takumi appeared on the same banner when they were originally on a legendary banner, but Faye was first. Also, I don't know how much this plays into it, but they are rerunning a lot of the skill banners next month for the 1.5-year celebration, and Takumi appears on at least 2 of those. He's on at least 2 of them. So his demand might be a little bit lower, whereas Fire Sweet Bow, I think, is always in at least moderate demand. So Faye, I think, will be next, partly because she comes first, partly because I think she's a better choice than Takumi. So the other spot could be filled by Takumi, it could be filled by Spring Kagero, but I think it's going to be filled by Hinoka. So Flying Hinoka was released back at the end of April, so it has been a while since she was released, so her release date is far enough back. She was on the Luna banner last month, and that's why I didn't put her on the legendary banner last month. And like I said earlier, they do occasionally run high-value units when they have been on a banner less than 2 months ago. Not really their release banner, but a banner. And I think that Hinoka is going to be one of those units and is going to make an appearance this time. She is one of 2 flying bows in the game, the other one being Summer Takumi, who is available right now, but she's better than him. She has better stats, I believe. She also has a better weapon, and she's generally available because she's in the general summons pool. So I think that it's time for her to come in and get started on her banner. So those are my predictions. A couple of them have question marks over them, especially Ishtar and Sharina, who may be replaced by her brother. But please feel free to let me know who you think is going to be on the legendary banner. I would love to hear your suggestions and who you think is going to be on it and why you think they're going to be on it. And if you have any issues with what I chose and think I am massively wrong, I would also love to hear why on those. So just drop me a letter or drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and good luck on your summonings.